Hello and welcome to this special segment by Agency Reporter, where today we are hosting Shakti Likha, who is the CMO at Bajaj Electricals. Shakti is also an author and has recently come up with a very interesting book. It is titled Reimagine High Value Sales. So, good one. So, welcome, Shakti.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Amit Sethia with us, who is the marketing head at Siska Group. Amit, welcome.
Thanks, Rahul.
We also have with us Vishal Chinchankar, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Madison World. Vishal, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Richa Parekh is joining us from Aditya Birla Health Insurance, where she heads digital marketing. And Richa is also one of the winners of Agency Reporter 40 under 40. So congratulations for that, Richa, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul.
Siddharth Davade with us, who is the Managing Director of MIQ India, which is a media analytics and predictions company. So even before we begin our session today, I know all of you agree that the world today runs on data, huge piles of data, and it has become the most powerful marketing tool today. With more numbers to crunch, more figures to decipher, it is very imperative that we understand how this data is driving decision making, primarily for brands and I'm sure for agencies as well. And also, what critical role does this data play in ensuring better marketing performances? So, without further ado, here's my first question, which is for Richa. Richa, what exactly does it mean to be a data-driven organization in today's time?
So, I'll go back a few years where I started my entire digital marketing career. My first job, I was a SEO account manager. And I remember my boss telling me that, every day you need to come to office and you need to look at Google Analytics. So for me, where I've been a digital marketer all my life, and like मुझे कुछ और आता ही नहीं है. Like it's only data that I see, I breathe, I talk. Like without data, I feel that my career is not what it is today, and that's the only way I have learned how to deal with digital marketing and marketing in general. So I feel these all hi-fi words have come into the picture now, where you talk about martech and you talk about data-driven technology and all these hyper-personalized targeting. But in my opinion, all said and done, I feel digital marketing is one medium where it survives and it is born on the fact that you have data and you can track everything. So today, with the whole pandemic situation happening, in my opinion, that everybody is up to mark in digital and they want to get their website sorted, social media, whether it's a small time business which is just selling on WhatsApp to a big organization like us who's into health insurance. I think there's no other way to go about it, because to make any decisions today, there are no new market trends also besides whatever has been going on or whatever is being talked about, which is very sporadic in nature and related to the same thing that we've been going through in the past 9 months. That it is data driven decision making which will help you understand what's working in your marketing, what's not working, and forget marketing for that matter, even for product, even for your entire organization. Today, if you want to know what's working and what's not working, gone are the days that you can actually just determine these things out of instinct. So I am a firm believer that you need to rely on your instinct as well. But I feel those were the lala days of running an organization or doing marketing. Now, what you feel or what you think may be true, it may not be true, but it is the data that will tell you or that will guide you for your next big campaign or next big product launch. Because if you just shoot in the fire just because you feel that this will really come up or this is trending, it's a very big risk you'll be taking. And I'm sure in today's market, like you don't have the money or the time or the resources to actually invest without thinking about data at all. So I think that's number one thing. And I feel it's very abused also as a word. Like people keep saying data driven, but I feel we just want to get more sales and we just want to target campaigns using data. But I feel where we lag as marketers, or where we feel that we are a little, on the back foot, is the fact that you can use your business data as well to cross sell, upsell in a very efficient way. Or you can use the same data to even get your new audience, which you're targeting, to get your sales higher. So a lot of times we keep using these words, in our day-to-day stuff, or we aspire to be there, but we don't do the full justice to it like we should. So I think we have a long way to go in data-driven marketing, and at the same time, at least for digital marketing, that has always been the way to do it. However, the methods have become more sophisticated, and there's a lot that we can do in an ongoing basis.
Thanks, Richa. Thank you so much for that elaborate pointers. Amit, if you can tell us briefly about the value that this data is bringing or is supposed to bring to the business decision making process for brands.
Sure. See, I completely agree with what Richa just mentioned a while ago. When you look at data-driven decision-making process, it's not only from the perspective of marketing that I want to talk about. I think it's the entire business that you drive, right? Because this data brings a lot of affirmation to not only decisions related to marketing, that's obviously there, but it really plays a very important role in coming out with the right products, the right features. It also drives a lot of distribution, logistics, sales, and obviously, finally, conversions and engagements as well. So I think I look at data driving process from the entire business perspective. Now, look at this, the kind of the brand Siska is the FMEG brand, like the fast moving electrical goods, which is fundamentally offline, right? Like you have these stores, the retail outlets, modern trade, general trade, super stockist, distributor, retailer. These are the terms that you deal with, right? So from these different outlets, you have any which ways traditionally data coming back to the business, right? Now, this is one part of the story. Now, the another part of the story is basically the fact that now you're using a lot of technology to actually layer, few more interesting metrics to this data, right? And when you mix this up, you really get, a lot of confidence in taking certain decisions that whether you should launch this product or not, what channel you should use basically, and how do you, should, sort of optimize that entire program, like from the marketing perspective. A small example could be, so in Cisca, we have, the app interface for the smart products, smart bulbs, etc., which is the Cisca Smart Home app. And we also have another app interface, which is for the smartwatch, which is the Cisca Fit app, right? Now, the kind of data that is generated out of this app interface is so precious that it actually helps me to understand, okay, fine, what all variants I should, go and launch in the next phase, what geographies are reacting to my launch, and how can I actually increase the efficiency and efficacy, right? I think so. I completely agree with Richa once again that, at the core of everything that we do today, it's more of data and very less of hunch, so we will not go by, oh, my gut feel says that ye karna chahiye. Oh, keep it aside. It's more of data today because we have very limited resources in terms of time, energy, and more importantly, money. So yeah.
Thanks, Amit. And Shakti, I'm being told that a lot of marketing functions are being managed in-house at Bajaj Electricals. So can you talk about the value of data in a self-sustained environment like this? Shakti, you're on mute, please.
In case of Bajaj, we have been early movers of digital marketing and digital strategy in the marketing. So we created our own team for digital listening. So not just data, but I'm saying social listening has helped us a lot. I've got a live case like during this COVID crisis. Our teams were doing their job because we had no other way to really sense out how the market is. It was absolutely uncertain for everybody. We were all giving our web calls like what we are having today, webinars in the initial days in March, and with our what Amit rightly said, the traditional channel, the partners, the dealers, our friends, and asking them, "Ho kya raha hai, kya karna chahiye?" But nothing was coming out. So this social listening gave us some insights, and essentially I had the B2B part of it. So B2B is much more trickier because B2C is impulsive. You can make out it's very easy to that way. When B2B, the customer is obviously multi decision makers and people do research and all that. So we were not able to gauge where the market is going and what should we do. Suddenly, through social listening and deep listening, I should say, the digital team working together with us, we could realize that people are fearful. So that's one feeling which we got after listening. So what is the solution as lighting company we can resolve for the fears which they have in their office premises? They were not going. They were trying to work out remote. So we came with UV lighting and we betted on. So Bajaj, traditionally has been like catch up game, but this time we were early adopters and we brought UV lighting, and that worked fairly well for us. But now, yes, while injections have come in, I'm surely seeing now the things will drop. So that's one clear case is what I can tell you during these 9 months which we realized. And obviously, social listening helped me to even understand what Cisca is doing or what Havels is doing. Parallelly, the schemes and the rollouts, what people are talking about them. So to devise what I need to devise. If somebody is doing Diwali Dhamaka, then I need to do Diwali plus Christmas or something like that. So that's what I can tell you in a lighter note.
Right. Thank you, Shakti. Uh, Vishal, you help organizations formulate a data-driven strategy, right? But that's dependent on a lot of other metrics, and I wanted you to talk about those metrics which are being used at different levels or functions of these businesses.
Sure. Thanks, Rahul. So, in my mind, I think, when you talk about matrix to measure success sort of thing, I think there are two sort of, and let me just cut this question into two halves. There's a hard metric and there is a soft metric, right? And, and the way we see marketing is it's all about, funnel marketing, where there's a top of the funnel and where there's a bottom of the funnel. So you typically use media to really recruit a lot of new customers, which sort of pile in from your top of the funnel, and then basically start using in once they sort of trickle down into the bottom of your funnel. You start really engaging well with them with sorts of remarketing or maybe in market audiences or maybe re-engaging them with your brand communications or for that matter at the bottom of your funnel even you re-engage with the existing customers, right? So and if you look at this whole journey of a funnel marketing, we use matrices such as maybe an exposure to a click ratio or alternatively a click to an install ratio in case of an app download sort of a campaign. But what's more important is to also look at the creative efficacy as to which really creative has been working well at the top of the funnel and it goes across. While at the bottom of the funnel, you also again have some hard matrices like what's a dropout rate or what's the time spent by that consumer on my assets, or easy peasy purchased my product. Then what's the connect to a sales sort of a ratio. So I think there are a lot more hard matrices today available, and that makes much more easier to really come up with a solution saying what's going to be my matrix to success. But having said that, I think what it's very imperative even for marketeers to also keep a track on soft measures like the mind measures of the brand, or for that matter, the sales lift on a geo level or at an overall level. So it's important for marketers to probably look at both the matrices, whether it's hard or soft, and that's precisely how we look at data.
Right. Thank you, Vishal. Thanks for those insights. Uh, Siddharth, your organization helps brands and agencies work around data faster and better, right? Why don't you tell us how leveraging first party data analytics is able to promote and sustain the virtuous cycle of innovation?
Right. So, I completely agree with what Amit was saying, Shakti, and what Vishal was also saying, right? So I think it's very, very context specific, and it has gone through a journey. Brands have gone through a journey. Digital has gone through a journey on this. What we have looked at is, and overall, we are very focused on programmatic. So, from a programmatic perspective, it is all about online video and display in the digital side of the things. Now, these are traditionally the mediums which are basically for branding, right? Upper funnel and mid funnel. But what we increasingly require in specifically in this economy, specifically during the COVID time frame, is that it is not just enough to do pure branding. It is very important to look at brand performance, right? And then how are you measuring the impact of your brand campaign? Now, within that, it is also very important to take a step back and first ask the question, who is my TG as a brand, right? And where are they? Because one big thing which has happened last year is that a lot of consumers have cut the cord. They've moved on from linear TV and moved on to digital entertainment, right? They are watching Netflix or they are watching OTTs. Obviously, they are watching YouTube any which ways and things like that. So there's a huge shift which has happened. What was supposed to happen in 5 years maybe has happened in 2020. So increasingly, when we are working with our agency partners and along with that with their clients, what we are seeing is that we are able to help brands first understand who is their target group and where are they currently, right? Are they on? Are they still on TV, or now have they moved on to some new digital mediums as well? Who have cut the cord? Who have become light TV viewers? Who are cord fakers? What we say in terms of they seem to be in front of TV, but they are not in front of TV. They are still on digital. So that profiling is very very important, and even just not from a medium perspective, it is also very important to understand what is their demographics, what is their interests, what are the topics they are interested in. What we have a data lake with us, right, where we have a lot of consumer data from an India market perspective. And what we do is we take the first party data, and of course we are GDPR compliant, so we don't take any privacy related data. We non-PI data only we take, and then we enrich it with the data lake which we have, and we are able to provide a complete profile of consumer to the brands, which basically talks about the demographics, their interest level, their financial status, income levels, and so on and so forth. Prepaid, postpaid customers from a telecom perspective, what topics they are interested in, what keywords they are browsing on, what brand preferences they have, also appography, what apps they would like to consume, and that can also become like a targeting layer, and also which stores they visit in, and from a offline location brand preference perspective also, we are able to help them understand, okay, this is the profile of your consumers. And just to give one more example, we have worked with retail companies where we are able to tell them that, okay, the profile of the consumer, what you have in walking in your Bombay stores, this is what it is, and it is different from consumers walking into your Delhi retail stores, and this is how you should have a more geocentric targeting in Bombay versus Delhi. So it's we are basically able to provide a complete opportunity map, and then accordingly you can figure out the media decisions and related communication decisions as well.
Sure, thanks for that. Let's go to Richa. Richa, can you talk about the precision of social media data that is available these days?
So I think social media data was super big when you were allowed to use custom audience, when we could analyze if I upload my audience and if I go and check what are the pages they have liked or what is their affinity towards before GDPR happened. Where I'll give you one example which I particularly remember. It was a furniture brand, online furniture brand, and we actually found out that the affinity of the people who buy furniture from this brand, they had a very high affinity with sports. So people who were interested in sports would generally buy furniture from that brand. So we would always create creatives, or we would have communication which was around sports related, or we would do moment marketing when it came to an Indian cricket match going on, or IPL and things like that. So something as niche as that, where we come to know that okay, like the two things we would have never thought of, as together. Because furniture, then probably you would think of parents, people who have living on rent, the typical cohorts. But something like this was quite unknown, and we found it out from Google Analytics. Similarly, there was another brand where forget a brand. I'll give you more of a layman example where I got to know when I was talking to one of the publishers for audio that all these cool podcasts you listen to, so all these latest audio forms that are coming out, The person actually told me that Hanuman Chalisa is the highest heard, audio song on their platform. And I was like, okay, meaning you don't know the masses, and you probably get very fancied away with all these cool things that come up, and that's very bound to happen, especially in social media. So Instagram Reels came up recently, right? And of course, it was supposed to take over TikTok, and like there was a big hoo-ha about it. And still it's been quite a mystery, where at least for Indian brands, of how to use it or how to make the most out of it, when it comes to that short of video, and to engage the audience using a reel. So what happens in social media especially, there are multiple levels where you can analyze your data. A is your paid ads, where you run your ads. B is your organic social, where you post your regular post. But whom are you targeting? What are you writing for them? you know um, if you feel that, okay, probably say a health insurance guy is a typical 35-year-old guy, who's thinking about his health suddenly, or probably a 25-year-old guy who's just trying to save his tax, you know you'll be surprised at the number of reasons why a person would actually go for it, especially in this post-pandemic world. And what would really appeal to them, what would be that one reason which would appeal to them, which would come in my creative, because of which he will buy my product. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that right from your data analysis, where you figure out who your audience is, whom are you targeting, to the point of what you are communicating to them, what image you are also using, what model you're using in the creative, to the point of using Instagram Reels or a Twitter or a LinkedIn. So if I'm talking to a person who's on Twitter, he's more of a text oriented person, versus a person who's on LinkedIn, who's either in the job finding phase, or he's a very big senior who's just there to network, versus a person who's on Instagram, who's just out there and wants to look at some relatable content. So, what type of content you put on which platform, and whom are you targeting? I think there is the biggest marriage of data when it comes to social media. And if you crack that for your business, which again, it's by cracking it is not like, okay, I crack something today and it's going to work for 6 months. That cracking of that right profile, that right persona, it is an ongoing business, and it's changing how, and that's where Martech actually kicks in, where you're going to lose tab, keeping a tab on so much of data, and actually pinpointing and saying that, okay, this campaign should go to this person, this person, this person, and this is how I will curate it. I think it's a long haul, and humanly it's going to be impossible. And hence, I think the growing need for marketing technology in 2020 is going to boom. And how? And people will have to learn it. People have to learn how to use that data. People will learn how to feed in and get the right insights out of it, and then make it actionable as well. But that's the future. I feel there are no two ways of going about it. But I think it's very exciting as well, because it's going to unleash so many things that we will not know, or we were working in a traditional manner, but will change completely, because without that, I think that there's no future.
Understood, Richa. Thank you so much. And you spoke about data usage. So, Siddharth, how is machine learning creating breakthroughs in understanding this data usage that Richa just spoke about?
Yeah, so I think the important part I would say is machine learning and AI algorithms are improving, right? And all the DSPs, I'm talking from a programmatic perspective, but all the DSPs are also investing in it. What is needed really is also connecting the data, right? And as all the panelists talked about, and I agree with what Richa was saying, that it's a huge task. There is so much of data which is coming in from various sources. It is very, very big task to connect that data, then figure out what data is important from my brand perspective, and then feed that for AI and ML to be used from that point onwards. And I think that is a non-trivial problem at all, which is being faced by all the marketers. And as we go along, this problem is going to keep increasing because the number of data sources will keep increasing. There are so many mediums where you are doing your marketing campaigns, your consumers are, the consumer touch points are also increasing. And hence, the need for having a data lake technology either in-house or having a partner which has that technology to be able to connect the data from various perspectives, first party data, second party data, third party data from various channels, consolidating that, figuring it out what pertains in the right way for my brand, and then from there using AI and ML on top of it to optimize it. That is how it will happen. And um, so I would like to kind of talk about a specific example here as well. So we were working with a financial client recently, right? And basically what they wanted was they have an investment solution to be marketed. And we did data correlation. We have a team of data scientists and data analytics, so we did that correlation for them. And what we found out was that this investment solution, it has a very good offtake when the dollar is strong. When the dollar is not strong and there are five other currencies which are very strong, then this solution doesn't do well and its offtake is not well. So what we did was we synced our campaign with these six currencies, dollar and five other currencies. And we intensified the campaign when dollar was running strong, and we reduced the campaign intensity when the dollar was doing weak, and that we did it in real time. And obviously on top of it, the DSP and ML helped target the right audiences, and we have our own data management platform as well, so that also added to the data piece as well. But the whole point was that we arrived at a specific root cause of the performance, and we focused on that more than any other data, and then we were able to get that impact. So that is why it is very, very important to collect data, connect data, and then analyze data, and then figure out the root causes, and then from there act on it.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Siddharth. Shakti, in the consumer durable segment, where a lot of decision making actually happens at the store, uh, and generally people also don't talk about their geysers or toasters for that matter. Uh, which social media platforms does your team rely on to gather authentic market intel? And then I'll go to Amit and Vishal in the same order to figure out the efficacy of these social media platforms and the precautions one needs to take while analyzing this social media data. So over to you, Shakti, first.
So when you talk about the B2C side of the business, obviously the Facebooks and the other media where people chat and generally talk and discuss about such things and sharing happens is one media. But what of late we have found is in B2C also LinkedIn has also become another media. Like if customer complaints have to come, they don't come via Facebook. It's all goody stuff happening there. But in LinkedIn, obviously somebody may write to you, yes, his geyser was not working or something like that, or some other issue may come up. So LinkedIn and Facebook are two clear things. For B2B, obviously, yes, as LinkedIn remains the paramount media. And we have of late found Instagram because youthful crowd, what we are seeing, the millennials, more than LinkedIn are on Instagram. You'll be surprised. There was a deal of I should flag mast. I don't know how many people know the flag mast. Bajaj is into that. So this was from defense sector. Somebody from defense sector said 15th August we want a flag mast, and that requirement came through Instagram. So the world has really changed for us. So which was like shock for me. In defense sector, somebody is not waiting for a tender. He says this much budget we have, and we are looking for a flag mast to be done before 15th of August. So if somebody can help, some folk can help from Bajaj. So things have changed. So really, the world has transformed itself, is what I can tell you. Be the government sector, be the enterprise market, and there is no shortcut for digital. So with this happening, we also have started ensuring that there is a digital tracking into sales outcomes, because obviously whatever you are doing needs to convert back not just clicks, not just impressions, but into real value terms, because what the organization is looking at, the real outcomes. So we have created a mechanism also start to end, from start for flowing from the IDA logic down to the business logic, not just creating awareness and interest, but really call of action and action in terms of business value. So that's which every business is now looking at.
Sure. Amit, you want to talk about the efficacy of these platforms? would be also happy to hear success stories of any such campaign that Cisco executed.
So I want to bring into basically, elements of social media, when you talk about the efficiency, right, or the efficacy towards the brand. I think one thing to note here is the way the audience is migrated from, the Facebook to the new platforms, because I think this migration is, very dynamic in nature. So I think earlier, so I'm coming from the real estate background, wherein for us that time, display campaigns and Facebook was the only thing we used to go mad about. Oh, humne kar diya. But I think today, as we speak, I think we need to also understand, as to how the same audience is moving from one platform to another platform. That's one. And secondly, I think uh, we deal with this very basic problem. I think in this country, I don't know how many of you guys will agree. We crack this one mother campaign or mother creative we call, and then we use the edits. Maybe on Facebook, on Insta, or maybe LinkedIn as well, and then say, okay, hamara kaam ho gaya. Because you're looking at long formats and short formats, etc., metrics as well. But I don't think that's the way that it kind of works, and more so because of the fact that you want to optimize that also, right? So I think every platform and the platform audience reacts very differently to different pieces of communication. And I think that's where I think digital plays a very big important whatever role, that you can try and then figure out, okay, what's working, what's not working, where you have done mistakes, etc., right? I think that's the beauty of digital. So I think even at Cisca, we have been very very thoughtfully using these long and short format content pieces, to increase reach, awareness. So Facebook is the medium for that kind of objective. When I'm using a lot of influencers, right? Because this has become like a big buzzword for me today, right? Because Cisca is a very diversified brand. So while I'm known for LED, I have smart LEDs which are connected through app and voice assistants. I have personal care appliances. I have mobile accessories, which is catering to the very young, audience as well, and so on and so forth, right? And when I'm using influencers, I'm definitely using a lot more Insta, right? And yet there is a need to go and educate the customers about the product, which is obviously a piece of technology, and you need to have tech bloggers in place. And for that, you can't go to, say example, Insta. You have to go to then YouTube, which is a long format platform, right? So I think this is how we kind of take a call as to what should be the content, what should be the platform, and why you are supposed to use that, right? uh, and precaution, I think I keep on repeating only about this one precaution to my entire team, that please guys, don't get carried away by this million reach. Suddenly million reach has become like the big thing that people are in awe of. So while it is good to have like a million reach, 4 million, 40 million, etc., etc., but I think that's kind of an eyewash, because you really don't know what is happening within that reach also, unless and until you figure out as to how is the crowd engaging with you. And I think of late we have realized that the kind of results that we get even from micro influencer is much better than the regular set of influencers, right? So I think these are the ways we have experimented with digital, with data, etc. And I think that's where the learning comes from, and then you keep on continuing this process, as Richa and Siddharth and even Shakti mentioned, that it's an ongoing process. See, it doesn't stop, right? It just keeps on continuing. So I think that's where my perspective is.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. Vishal, would you like to add to it? And of course, do you have any success stories you could talk about?
Sure. So I'll tell you, well, I've been into the space for more than now 2 decades, and I've seen the evolution of digital marketing. I've seen the evolution of how social media sort of, transformed into something else. In our parlance, we always had these three terms called as intent, interest, and purchase. There are customers who are intending to, understand a little more about your product. The customers who've shown interest may not buy, and then there are customers who are actually buying your product, right? And when it comes to interest, that's where really social media comes into the play. And social media, as I said, is now given a birth to influencer marketing. And I'm going to echo certain things that Amit has said, or Shakti said, or Richa said. But but it's evolved, right? And it's evolved to a level that it's not just bringing in a lot of scale, but it's also bringing in a lot more insights and intelligence to exactly what you do as a brand on the social media platforms. From an efficacy point of view, I think it's just getting better day by day. And why is it getting better? Purely from the point of view of that there is a huge scale coming in. There are consumers who are migrating from a Facebook into Insta. I mean, that's exactly what Shakti was talking about earlier. LinkedIn has become priority because today, from a professional point of view, today everyone's migrating. As we speak, TikTok came in, and massively built a scale. It's unfortunate that they've out of the India as a market, but it's given a birth to a lot more social media platforms, right? It's just going to increase. To my mind, efficacy game is just going to get better and better as we see the scale of data coming in from social media. And purely from, if you ask me what precautions, just be mindful as a brand. You got to be just mindful about what's the communication you sort of, put up on social media. I mean, that, way back, 10 years back, maybe a decade and a half back, I used to say that, social media is like a double-edged sword. So what you put up is going to hit hard at you. But that's even true today, right? Because what you say is what how consumers are going to interpret your communication. So that's something that I believe brands will have to be mindful of. But other than that, I think from an efficiency and efficacy point of view, it's one of the biggest platform.
Thanks, Vishal. Let's go to Richa then. Richa, let's now talk about some very essential KPIs for any organization that they should keep in mind while beginning their journey towards creating a very data-driven culture.
So I would first want to add to what Amit and I think right now what Vishal also said. I had got one thought in my mind that what Amit said, that we create one mother creative, and then after that we expect that our work is done. So what I feel is that the main responsible medium for this is our OTT platforms and influencers by themselves, which is good and bad. Good because they've got our audience in the habit of a lot of content and different forms of content, audio, video, podcasts, and articles, etc. Hence, there was this one thing which I read recently from one of the influencers, that the way he made content, or he makes content rather, is that he shoots videos of 2 hours, and then his entire team makes 60 pieces out of it, you know. So I think that's something I was very impressed with, and I feel that that's only going to increase. I mean, he's an influencer today. Even brands have to now start doing the same thing to communicate one simple message. You will have to create multiple forms of content, even if you're seeing the same thing, but you'll have to see the same thing in different ways. So मे बी लाइक अमित सेड कि वो पहले का जमाना था कि एक मदर क्रिएटिव से हमारा काम हो जाता था. अभी भी उतना नहीं बदला है वो. It's still that one message or that one central thing. It is just that now, because of this habit of our consumers changing, we'll have to evaluate it and put it and slice and dice it into different forms and say the same thing. And to the precautions part as well, I want to add very strongly that, like he said, that obviously don't get into the reach and millions and impressions and, like digital metrics, are so confusing that just because they are trackable, so this is also a double-edged sword. Like if anyone from the senior management will say that, okay, what is digital getting? And if you say that you're getting so much reach and all of that, obviously they want the final business. So to that, I have to say that obviously at least you're getting that reach, which you would not normally not get in hoardings or magazines or TV, etc. So you are tracking how many people are even, you're getting in front of. But a true digital marketer, or even a marketer for that matter, should look at the objective very clearly. Like, just don't get into influencer marketing because it's the cool thing without an objective, or try an Instagram Reels or a TikTok kind of a platform if it doesn't suit your forte. So coming to the metrics question that you asked, which leads from this, that the what, how, and who of your campaign has to be very clear. What do you want to tell them? Whom are you telling? And how are you going to tell them? Like which platform? And once these basic questions of what, how, who, why, are very clear in front of you, I think that defines your data driven marketing strategy, or even the data driven strategy for product or for the organization on the whole, where once you know your target audience, you know what you want to communicate to them, or what is the action you expect them to do, you know where you're going to reach out to them, okay, and what data you already have available, and what will you want to build a better case even after they become your consumers. So I think sometimes it's very simple. It's the basic common sense where you sit with a pen and paper and you brainstorm with your team and you decide on what you want, how you're going to do it, and when you actually get into the execution phase, what all will be needed at that point. So once you do that, then getting your marketing technology stack, or even a basic Excel, where like an Excel is the lowest level of data driven marketing, and a Martech would be the highest level. But as long as you have that in place, and then you collect the data accordingly, or action the previous business data and take the next decision, I think that is what is needed. Then of course you'll have your learnings and you'll get to the next point. But I feel keeping that whole ecosystem in picture is the number one important thing.
Right. Thanks, Richa, for that. Final question, Siddharth. What challenges are enterprises encountering in this journey of leveraging data, and how is MIQ helping organizations overcome these very challenges?
Right. So I think this entire discussion threw a lot of light on various aspects. I would highlight three main challenges which a lot of brands are facing. One is, there is a huge movement of consumers and consumer preferences, and what was true last year may not be true this year, right? So there is a constant need to understand who is my TG, right? And exactly what the point which Richa was saying, those basic fundamental questions, that who am I targeting and why am I targeting, have to be very, very clear. That is one, right? So understanding your audience and changes in your audience behavior on a continuous basis, or at least on a periodic basis, that is very, very critical. The second big challenge which brands are facing is, because of new technologies and digital, there is a lot of data coming in. Yes, there are methods and ways to understand the audience, but then that is too much of data, right? So the second biggest challenge is, how do you, once you've figured out your data sources, now the challenge which you have is, how do you figure out from there to analyze and do the analysis of that data, and then figure out the core principles or insights which are coming out of it, right? That is very, very difficult. And along with that, I will also say that connecting the data from these various sources and then figuring out the analysis is also a related challenge. And then the third is actioning it out, right? And actioning it out is also becoming more complex, because yes, there are platforms which are helping, but then there are also some data can be used in some platforms, but some platforms you cannot use some data, so there is that mismatch also happening. So these are the three main challenges which a lot of brands are facing. And the way we are looking at MIQ in terms of helping brands with our agency partners in solving these challenges is, one is, we have a very, very strong focus on understanding the first party data which brands have. It could be their footfalls, it could be their digital footprint, their own website, their own app, whatever touch points which the brand has. How do you take those signals? And then from there, we have our own data lake, where we have a lot of data partnerships, and we cover almost 500 million consumer data in India. It's all non-PII. But from taking that first party data and then enriching the data which we have, and then providing the brands with complete analysis of their consumer. Who is their consumer? What are the preferences which are changing for them, and where are they, right? So that analysis is what we are able to provide. And then secondly, from there, it's about connecting the data, right? So the first party data connection with third party data, and then when we action out the campaigns in programmatic environment, then we are also able to connect the second party data. And also, as I was talking about, the macro trends, right? So there could be weather, which could be affecting the brand consumer behavior. It could be sports related events which could be affecting the consumer behavior. So how do you look at macro data as well, and also connect that and take it as a part of your equation from a campaign perspective. And then the third challenge which I talked about is, yes, in programmatic, then you can connect these data points and then you can action out the campaign. What we have done is we have gone beyond that. So for example, we have looked at a big trend which is basically online video, which could be YouTube, which could be OTTs, and that is also a lot of social flavor into it, because increasingly majority of the social platforms will be video led, right? So what we have done is we have gone deeper into understanding how we can help brands execute this analysis and targeting on these online video platforms with the data layer which we have, so that instead of having a fragmented buy of online video, or having to understand more details about my YouTube campaign, which are the channels, which are the categories, which are the videos which are helping me get that brand communication across YouTube. So we are able to dig deeper into both from a data perspective and from a YouTube insights perspective, and able to help the brands from an online video perspective, clubbing along with that also the TV data, so that then there's a TV plus online video complete planning, and then very rich insights into OTT and YouTube, so that on the go also the campaign can be further refined, and from there better results can be measured. And along with that, you can also look at brand impact measurement with a brand survey and related downstream metrics, like after I clicked on OTT ad as a consumer, what did I do when I went into the website? Did I convert? Did I engage well? What products did I look at? So all that downstream analytics also we are able to provide and focus on, and then that feeds into again your online video and TV strategy, and optimization takes place.
Right. Thanks, Siddharth, for this. It's been really wonderful hosting you all, right? With these insights, it's clear as the digital world continues to evolve. With each passing day, leveraging data is the need of the hour, and in order to make more informed and powerful decisions in this ever-changing landscape, I think data is the need of the hour. Thank you so much, Richa, Shakti, Amit, Vishal, and Siddharth for joining us today. See you next time. Bye bye.